The NFL season kicking off tonight with New Orleans opening defense of its Super Bowl crown against Minnesota. And we all remember what happened when these two met last year in the Superdome in the NFC title game. Hi everyone, Al DeMarco here. This is going to be your Thursday video report. I've got a free play on your SEC opener tonight between Mississippi State and Auburn as we break down this Thursday card for you. First of all, I want to say thank you to John Galante and Christian Klemish, who, of course, run TalkSportsPhilly.com, for allowing me the opportunity to bring you free picks and handicapping advice here on a daily basis. You know, I grew up in the Philadelphia area, live in Vegas now, but spent 28 years in Philly, went to college there as well. So I can tell you, there ain't no bigger Philly fan than I am. Bleed Eagles green, definite big-time Phillies fan, Flyers too. On the road, greatest thing, the internet. Talk Sports Philly, being able to see what everybody's talking about, keeping your finger on the pulse of the Philly sports scene. So I want to thank them for the opportunity for allowing me to have my daily videos here for you. And let me just explain something to you. A lot of guys in this business do daily videos, and it's basically one sales pitch after another, and then they throw out a meaningless free pick. I don't do things that way. Guys, listen, I've been in this business for over 25 years. I've been betting a hell of a lot longer than that, but we won't get into specifics just in case my mom happens to be watching for how long or how young I was when I actually started placing wagers. But I like to delve deeper into games. I like to give you betting strategies, advice, tips, and when I give you a free pick, I'm going to break it down with in-depth analysis. But one thing to keep in mind about free picks, as I always tell people, they are essentially the best of the worst. And here's what I mean. Let's say I have 4 games on tonight's card. As a matter of fact, I do have 4 plays on tonight's card. 4 games that I circled that I liked, 4 unique plays. I'm only going to use 3 of them, however. Those 3 are the ones that I'm personally betting on. Those are the 3 that I'm releasing to paying customers. The next play, the 4th play, that is going to be the free pick tonight on the Auburn-Mississippi State game. So it's a quality selection. It's a game that I came this close to actually personally wagering on, but it wasn't quite good enough to pass the muster. Now, bottom line is, over the years I probably hit 60-65% of my free picks. And you should go on good free pick rolls if you follow the way I do it, because generally, as I said, the pick is the best of the worst, meaning it was almost good enough to be a play I personally wagered on and released to paying customers, so it is a high-quality percentage selection. But I think a lot of people out there make a mistake, and they actually try to judge handicappers on whether or not the free picks are winning. You can believe that if you want. I'm telling you, as the guy on the other side of the fence after 25 years in this business, free picks, winning them, means nothing in terms of the correlation of whether you win the games you're actually betting on. And I have seen countless cases over the years where guys are on tremendous free pick rolls, but the games they're actually releasing the customers are betting on, they're hitting it like 35%. Personally, I'd rather have it the other way. I'd rather have the guy hitting 70% of the games he's releasing the customers and putting his money on here in Vegas and losing every free pick. Just my strategy. Let's talk a little about NFL action tonight. Of course, as I said, the Saints and the Vikings kicking it off. This line is pretty much all over the place, depending on where you play it, here in Vegas or offshore. You can find it from 4.5 to 5 points all the way up to 6 points. Now, that's why I always say that you've got to have a couple different betting shops, different options, whether it's the bookie around the corner, you got to have 2 or 3 of them, the price shop, or offshore, or here in Vegas where, if you don't like what's over at the Hilton, you get in a taxi and you go over to the Palms. It's that easy. You've got to be able to price shop depending on whether you have the favorite or the dog. I always talk about that magical crystal ball. If you had this crystal ball last year and you were simply able to pick the straight-up winners in the NFL, you won 82% of your games against the odds makers. Straight-up winners, preseason, regular season, right through the Super Bowl last year, covered 82% of your games in the NFL. This preseason, just over, guess what, guys? The straight-up winners went 56-7-2 against the spread. No big surprise. Last year they went 56-3-4 ATS. That's a 2-year run in the preseason alone where the straight-up winners hit at a 92% clip. This year in preseason play, the underdogs had a 3-game edge, going 32-29-2. The home favorites 26-26-2, so dead even in that one. I don't think I have to really tell you a lot about the Saints-Vikings unless you've been on Mars, you kind of know what happened in that series and that game last year. You know all about Favre. You know all about these teams. So instead, let's jump over to college football. Now, as for the games here tonight, you've got Central Michigan at Temple. You've got Temple, a veteran returning team, the preseason favorite to win the MAC. Playing at Lincoln Financial Field, where they beat Villanova last week, and a great game. I happened to be in Philadelphia, happened to be down at among the 32,000 watching that game. A Temple alum, in fact, as well. Not that I brag about that too much, to be honest with you. But, you know, where Central Michigan opened up with a victory against another Division I AA team, or do they call that FCS teams now? Like, who cares, right? Division I AA, that's what it really is. That's what you want to cut to the chase. They beat Hampton. Well, Hampton was a 5-6 team last year. Everybody says Temple struggled against Villanova. But let's keep in mind, Villanova, Andy Talley's team, national champions last year. Not exactly chopped liver, and they upset the Owls the year prior. Does Temple deserve to be a 7.5-point favorite? Yeah, that's a pretty fair line in that one. Doesn't make it an easy game to bet on. And that's why instead, I'm going to focus instead on your game between Mississippi State and Auburn down in Starkville. Now, I can tell you, college football favorites last week, Week 1 action, were one game under 500 at 18, 19, and 2, which is very unusual because generally in week number 1 of the college football season and even week number 2, favorites are the play because the odds makers, the lines simply aren't that sharp, and you can take advantage of them by playing the favorites. Double-digit chalks last week, one game under 500 as well. True home favorites. I'm not talking about when Colorado and Colorado State played at Denver. True home favorites last week. 13, 11, and 2. Road favorites like Auburn tonight, laying about 2 points in Starkville. 4 and 5 against the spread. Now, in terms of this particular game, you know, both of these teams opened up with blowout wins last week. Auburn absolutely destroying Arkansas State, which they should have, right? Rolling 52-26 with their new quarterback, a former Florida transfer, in fact, Cam Newton. This guy is big. 6'5", 247. He runs that spread option attack that they run pretty damn well. I mean, he really had it rolling. 5 touchdowns, 357 total yards in the 52-26 rout of Arkansas State. Now, Mississippi State, a team that certainly is in year 2 of a rebuilding stage, opened up very strong as well, beating up Memphis 49-7. I think they played a little tougher team than Arkansas State. Memphis still downtrodden, but a better program than Arkansas State. They went with a rotating quarterback system. Junior Chris Relf and redshirt freshman Tyler Russell, they combined for 372 yards and 5 touchdowns. Now, Auburn has won 4 straight in Starkville, covering 3 of those games. The negative here is Mississippi State, 0-10 straight up, 1-9 against the spread the past decade in their SEC openers. Meanwhile, Auburn in conference lid lifters, 16-1 straight up the past 17 years, covering 13 of those games. The favorites on a 13-5 ATS run in this series. But here's the thing. I actually like Mississippi State here, guys, a little bit. But you're not getting much value getting Mississippi State only as a 2-point home dog. If this line was bigger, if I was getting 5 or 6 points, I'd take Mississippi State. But considering this Auburn offense, considering Cam Newton, considering the quality of the running backs that they have for the Tigers, Ontario McCaleb, a 1,000-yard returner, and the youngster, Michael Dyer, that is a quality backfield. They are going to be able to run on this Mississippi State defense. So even though Auburn is 8-1 straight up in the series, that's the good news. The bad news is, of course, Auburn 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 SEC road games. I'm going to back the Tigers in this particular spot. Go with Auburn, laying the 1.5 too. I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes down, maybe to 1.5 solid across the board as you get closer to kickoff. That's going to be the free play today. And as for me, I have a trio of 5-dime selections tonight. 23-11 run with those 5-dime plays dating back to 2 Mondays ago, cashing in with the Minnesota Twins last night in football. For me tonight, I have a trio of 5-dime plays. You know, I'm looking at your NFL game, the Braves-Cardinals game, and the Temple Central Michigan game as well. But your freebie, again, as I said, I'm going to go with the Auburn Tigers and lay the points against Miss State tonight. Good luck, everybody, and I'll catch you again on Friday morning.